Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So we're going to try a little bit of a set induction this Shabbat. Everyone find a seat okay? You fine?
A little harder than usual.
So earlier in the year, when we unveiled our really amazing new soulful Shabbat, when we have all the instruments and stuff, we wanted to begin in a way that we all began together, that our souls all lit on fire at the exact same time, that we were all stirred to pray and to welcome Shabbat together. And we'd like to do the same thing again. So in a moment, we're going to start with a nigun. You probably know what a nigun is. A nigun is a wordless melody that inspires the soul and wakes us up and gets us ready to pray. Earlier in the year, I was at a conference, and a rabbinic conference in Philadelphia. And one evening, they had a musician named Joey Weisenberg. And I almost didn't go because it was really late. And it was a late night activity. It was at like 9:30. And after a long, if you're around rabbis from 7 in the morning to 9, that's a long day.
That's long.
So they're not all as, not all like us. So I said, you know what? I'm in the mood for some music. Why not? And there was this guy named Joey Weisenberg who plays a lot of niguns. And I walked in. I was a little late. And I could already tell that people's souls were on fire. His music was just incredible. He plays a lot in New York, Temple B'nai Jeshurun, and he plays with a group called the Hadar Ensemble, if you've ever heard of them. And one of the best, as soon as it was finished, I went to Spotify and started downloading all of his songs. And he had one nigun called the Lincoln Nigun. Now, the reason it's called Lincoln Nigun is because it's based on some of the words of the Lecha Dodi. And there's one line in Lecha Dodi where it says, Yamin usmol tifrotzi, which means when God walks in from the right and to the left, we split and make way for God's presence and for Shabbat, for Lecha Dodi. And Joey Weisenberg realized that the same thing used to happen during the Civil War when President Lincoln showed up. Out of respect, the units would split to the right and to the left. And so he named the nigun Lincoln's Nigun, and it's pretty well known. And so what you're going to want to do after the service is go to Spotify and type in Lincoln's Nigun, and you'll start listening to it. So I asked Canner Koyo, do you know it? I'd never even heard of this guy. I said, do you know it? And she said, of course. And I said, but can you sing it? And she said, of course. And so her and Jessica have been working on it. And it's really spiritual. And it's going to set our mood for Shabbat. So here we go.
Let's do that again.
amazing concept that you can pray without words, that your soul doesn't need words to offer itself and place yourself before God. We continue our Kabbalat Shabbat, hopefully now that our souls are prepared with the words of Shalom Aleichem in our prayer books, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchni LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So we don't B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow. We don't know what to do with ourselves.
That never happens.
We can't believe it. We have 2 more the following week, and that's it for the rest of the summer. Don't worry, we have another 85 coming next year, so we'll be okay. But in place of B'nai Mitzvah families, we're celebrating a very, very special simcha. 2 people who do so much for our entire Jewish community, and it's a great opportunity now to honor Jeff Rosenberg and Miriam Singer, who are celebrating tonight their 25th wedding anniversary. Mazel tov! We're honored to invite you to kindle our Shabbat lights. Mazel tov.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
As we sanctify Shabbat with the words of our Kiddush, and as Jeff and Miriam lead us, we have so much to be grateful to them for. Miriam, of course, who leads our Jewish community services and does more mitzvahs in one day than most people do in a lifetime, and Jeff, who is the head of our Temple Beth Am Brotherhood, a true honor to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary, which is actually tonight. So, all right.
Olam borei pri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu v'mitzvosav v'tzivanu.
Ber Shabbat Kadsho, Haba Ratzon, Hin Tanu, Zikaron Lemaase Bereshit, Ki Hu Yon Tehila, Lemikrai Kodesh, Zecher Litzia, Mitzrayim, Ki Vanu Barharta, Eotanu Kidashta, Lekal Hamim.
Shabbat kodshecha ve'ahabatu bratzon hin haltanu. Baruch atah Adonai
Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Now we welcome the Sabbath bride with the mystical words of Lecha Dodi, page 20 in our prayer books.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shemo tiferet ve'litila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem lesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tehila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Please rise. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Remain standing for the Baruch Hu, page 28.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please join me as we read together on the top of page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way to which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Continue on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We continue on page 40 as we approach Memorial Day. Our Mi Chamocha takes on the tune representing our love for our country and those who served to protect our freedom.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nadar b'kodesh, narati lo tosef eleh, malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam, livnei Moshe u'Miriam, God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her from the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans. Why we're from. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be ours, shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, leshalom, leshalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu.
Blessed are you, God, who protects us by spreading that shelter of peace over all of us. And we say,
Amen.
we're going to rise in a moment on page 46, in a moment, for our call to tefillah. Adonai Sephatai, asking God to open up our mouths, our lips, so that we can let out our prayers this evening. We've reached the height of our prayer service. And the melody that we chose tonight is something I don't know that's ever been sung, just like the Lincoln Nigun premiere tonight. Here's another premiere. It's a version, a setting of Adonai Sephatai Tiftach by cantor Natalie Young, who's one of my closest friends. And this setting builds. It has layers to it. And I want to teach you the first part. And what I love so much about this song, about this version that she set it to, is how each time a new harmony is added, you can feel like your heart expanding. You can feel the space coming into the prayer service for you to let go. It gives you that space. Sometimes I need a little bit more time. So you're gonna hear me sing it once before we're gonna wait around to add the harmony, and I'm gonna have you repeat one line after me. Please rise. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Try it. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Try that. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Can we put all of that together, please? Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. I feel like some of you have heard it before. That sounds, oh great, I love that. Let's try that part. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Let's try it together. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Last time. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekoneh Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatah Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol
Berachamim Rabim.
Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bar Gevurot Umidom Elach Melech Meimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanat Alehachayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kdoshim b'chol yom Yehallelu Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Thank you, Cantor Koyo. Thank you, Jessica Bass. Tomorrow at Minyan, Jessica will be offering, as part of our Minyan service, Eden Golan, the Israeli entrance for, she's not offering Eden, but the Israeli offering for Eurovision, in Hebrew we call it Eurovision, the European Plus Song Contest. Her song, it's called, it eventually ended up to be Hurricane, but its original name and original lyrics are October Rain. And it references, and it is about October 7th. She had to change it because the Eurovision folks thought it was too political. Jessica's going to offer the original, so we can remember, we can think. Tonight's parasha, Bahar Sinai, on Mount Sinai. The rabbis say it's there that Moses received, of course, all of the law, the big laws, and the little ones. The little ones meaning probably the oral law later becoming the Talmud. And since we are not Moses, we come here for the big laws and for the little laws on Shabbat, on Wednesday night on Shabbat, morning on Friday night, so we can get a taste of what we are supposed to do in this world. You know that every elementary school child knows the R's of education today, and it might not be the ones you think. Today's 3 R's are reduce, reuse, and recycle. It is this idea that has transformed so much of our behavior, from carrying our own bags into Publix to schlepping around 40 ounces of water in a stainless steel thermos. Or, if you are on top of your style game, a Stanley Cup, and not the one associated with the NHL. You should see the children here. They're about 8 years old, and they're carrying around 40 ounces of water. Weighs more than they do. This week's Torah portion, though, suggests another set of R's: rest, release, and renewal. Rest of the land. For rest is our connection and our show of faith to God. Release of Hebrew slaves and release of ownership of the land is our commitment to justice. And renewal is what happens. Renewal for us, renewal for society, when we practice the faith and justice of rest and release. We read in this week's Torah portion, Bahar, from the book of Vayikra, Ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem v'shavta haaretz Shabbat l'Adonai. Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you enter the land that I assign to you, the land shall observe a Sabbath of Adonai. 6 years you may sow your field, and 6 years you may prune your vineyard and gather in the yield. But in the 7th year, the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest, a Sabbath of Adonai. This is the commandment of Shemitah, and still practiced in places in Israel today. It is a sabbatical year for the land. And yes, it is where the idea of sabbatical for a certain profession comes in. 6 years work, 1 year off. Although Rabbi Barris and I are still waiting for the 6 years work, 1 year off. I guess we're not traditional enough. Rashi explains that this rest is a rest for the land in honor of God, just as Shabbat is a rest for human beings and animals is the 7th day of the week. The Shabbat for the land is the 7th year. Rav Kook, who was the first chief Ashkenazi rabbi in mandated Palestine, wrote, "What Shabbat does for the individual, Shemitah does for humanity. The soul of people and land intertwine, working from the base of their being to bring into existence the intricate patterns of inner holiness that lie within. And during Shemitah, the pure inner spirit may be revealed. Human beings will return to a state of natural health because mostly illness befalls us when the balance of life is destroyed and our lives are distant from the rhythms of nature. Now, we know that Torah is a book of law. It is not a book of even environmental justice, although we'll find a lot about the environment. It's not a book of health, although we find a lot of things which we hope improve our health. It is the law and the rising of the Spirit that we're talking about. So letting the land rest every 7 years, it's so important in Torah that neglecting this commandment leads to exile. And as it's stated in Pirkei Avot, exile comes to the world for a number of things: for idolatry, for sexual sins, and for bloodshed, and for transgressing the commandment of the year of release of the land. So the neglecting of the years of Shemitah, the year where the land lays fallow, is a reason for exile from the land. Neglecting the commandment is therefore associated with a negation of God, because land and earth comes from God, the Creator. Letting the land rest after 6 years demonstrates the connection between God, land, and people. The Israelites are charged to leave the market economy for the year and eat what is provided without human toil, and leaving the land fallow, trusting that enough food will grow to sustain you, is an action of faith in God, again, the Creator and the Provider. So it's not just participating in the economy. It's not just letting the nutrients, which the science didn't write those theses about the nutrients in the land coming back into the earth, but it is an action of faith. Yes, I won't bring to market my produce, and yes, I will be sustained. The Torah is telling also the ancient Israelites, don't think your success on the land is yours alone. Rather, it is God's success on God's land. We still celebrate the rhythm of the land today with the festivals of Pesach, Shavuot, which is coming up on June 11th, and Sukkot. And each festival and commandment directed towards the land of Israel is a teaching for us that this land is still the eternal home of the Jewish people. And this home, commanded by God, should be a home of justice. After 49 years, the 50th year will be declared on Yom Kippur a Jubilee year, a year of release. Land sold under duress will be returned to its owners. Israelites who sold themselves under duress will be freed. Any sales and purchases will take into account the number of years until the next Jubilee. So no one is overcharged for their land, no one is undercharged for the land, and of course this is before the village of Pinecrest was incorporated. The Torah understands that if a person sells their ancestral lands or sells themselves as a servant, it is only because of severe hardship. And therefore, like the prohibition against taking interest for loans or taking interest for giving people food, Torah demands one may not take advantage over a person in duress. This land will be a land of justice. And in chapter 25, verse 17, we read, "Do not wrong one another, but fear your God. I, Adonai, am your God." And in verse 55, "For it is me, capital M, that the Israelites are servants. They are my servants, says God." The land doesn't belong to us. The people don't belong to us. It's all elevated. Our rest, therefore, honors God. The ancient rest of Shemitah connects us to God and to the land of Israel. Release of ownership exalts God through justice. And the third R, renewal, is what we achieve in our own lives, the lives of our people and humanity. It is what we achieve when we combine actions of faith and justice. Bahar Sinai, on Mount Sinai, the Torah was given as a document of law in order that society should be built and move forward. You probably have heard the Midrash that God lifted and inverted the mountain over the Israelites' heads and then asked, "Will you accept this law?" Looking up, they figured they had little choice. So they went with the faith it would be better to go with God. And then they received all the tools they needed to create a just society, and they were renewed on Mount Sinai as a people of the covenant. May this Shabbat, a Shabbat in which we begin to remember those who serve this country, strengthen our faith, strengthen our righteous actions, and our love for the land of Israel as we are renewed in hope and justice. Kenya Ratzon, may this be God's will. Amen.
Take a moment now to think of all of those who are in need of God's healing presence, those who remain in our thoughts and who are praying for their recovery, for their healing, and for their well-being. If you have a name of someone that you'd like to include in our Misha Berach prayers tonight, please feel free to say their names aloud. We say, Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim, blessed are you, O God, who brings healing to the sick, as we turn our prayer books to page 253.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha berach imotenu b'kor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So you may have noticed in the news that this year has been a particularly easy and pleasant year to be a Jewish student on college campuses around the country. And earlier this year, around New Year's, when some of our students were home for the holidays, I asked a handful of them if they would be willing to come and speak at one of my lunch and learn classes and talk about what was going on their campuses. And one of them was here from the University of Pennsylvania. And after that, and after he aired what was going on there, the university was so in fear of the wrath of Temple Beth Am, even more so than the Congress, that because of that lunch and learn, they decided to let go of their president. And so Evan Galinsky and I worked very hard on that, and thanks to Evan, we were able to get her out of there. But I understand that Evan just graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. And so, Evan, I'd like to invite you forward for the honor of opening the Ark now, as we turn together to Aleinu on page 282. If you're able, please rise. All right, give him a second. All right, Mazel Tov. You did it.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא זמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא
be seated. Mazel tov again to Evan, one of our brightest and bravest lights. His sister's at UCLA, so they know how to pick him. And we're working with her over there. Our thoughts turn now to those who have come before us, those on whose memories we stand, those whose memories remain in our hearts and our souls. Tonight, our congregation is saying Kaddish for Lenore Raven, Florence Rude, Jerry Bengis, Saul Victoria Amar de Benamou. We're in the 30-day period of mourning for Ella Riley Adler, Donald Cecil McLemore, Ruth Apfelbaum. We're in the first year of mourning for Michael Arnold, Joan Axler, Chaim McCleppy, Patricia Gaga Barrett, Peter Bass, Constance Miller Bennett, Barbara Bronfman, June Elizabeth Brown, Bernard Eckstein, Herbert Fink, Lawrence Larry Stewart Foreman, Tina Forster, David Frankel, Ann Friedlander, Glenn Goldberg, Jennifer Gross, Dr. Warren Janowitz, Howard Kleinberg, Sandra Sandy Kramer, Ellen Ellie Levine, Reba Eskowitz Magids, Asuka Mashav, Solomon Pinkert, Elisa Poyastro, Karen Michelle Solomon, Dr. David Saracen, Anna Sheldon, Michael Schellist, Michelle Hope Sherry, David Sokol, Max Spiegelman, Ilya Stolar, Berta Topol, Irene Trupkin, Dr. Florence Orend Wexberg, Joan Wolfe, Burton Young, Daniel Zalkberg, Gary Spencer, John Burton, David Grubin Gerswolf, Pearl Furgang, Arlene Engel, Svika Golad, Gershon Spencer. We mark on the occasion of their Yortzites on this Shabbat, Morris Burke, Margaret Ferenczi, Philip B. Germain, Harry Hollub, Joyce Galinsky, Alma Gorodetzer, Rabbi Jerome S. Gerland, Elliot Meyer Loveman, Hope Marks, Harvey Sharp, Jerry Shepard, Betty Sleminski, Tanya Stern, Lillian Wallach, and Harriet Zeller. Are there any other names to be included on our Yortzeit list? The memories of all of them are with us as we praise God and pray for the coming of God's kingdom as we turn together to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayed l'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Umei Omaya Dabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Roman V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Ale V'yit Halal Shmei D'Kudsha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechemata Damiran B'yoma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael Bimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimramav. Huya Seh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Bimru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. My pleasure now to invite forward the president of our congregation, Rich Siegel, for some words of greeting and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. First, I'd like to thank Rabbi Barris, Rabbi Kleppe for the service tonight, Cantor Coyote and Jessica. Such a treat to have both of your voices fill our sanctuary tonight. And Liera, thank you for beautiful music. I also wanted to give a shout out to Rabbi Greengrass and Tamara Donenfeld, who are not here tonight. They are with our teens doing mitzvah work in Guatemala. So assuming they have connectivity, I'm sure they're live streaming this. So as Rabbi Barris said, this is it's a B'nai Mitzvah-less Shabbat, which always makes me sad. I like grading the B'nai Mitzvah kids, but it was replaced tonight with a Mazel Tov for Jeff Rosenberg and Miriam Singer on their 25th wedding anniversary. Mazel Tov to you. I work with Jeff quite a bit. He's the president of Brotherhood. He's on the board. We've worked closely with him all year, and I think I speak on behalf of the entire board when I say, Miriam, how do you do it? Other Mazel Tov is to Rabbi Barris and the Barris family on Ella's graduation from high school yesterday, this week, Wednesday. She'll be off to college. It was opportune timing for me because we have a family friend's wedding this weekend, so my daughters actually came home from New York this weekend. Both of them graduated from college, and I will tell you, Rabbi Barris, from my own experience, it's as difficult as it is to send them off into the world. It's even more sweeter to have them come home and see the beautiful people they've become, exceeded only by really special moments like when your daughter walks into the kitchen and opens the cabinet and says, "Who ate all my gummy bears? I brought those home. I saved them on the airplane." At which point her dad turns around and his mouth is like overflowing with gummy bears. He says, I don't know who did that. So thank you. In terms of announcements, next Friday is a confirmation Shabbat for our teens, so please come out and support our teens that are being confirmed. And under very rare events in the history of our Jewish people, probably second only to the burning bush, is the idea that we're retiring a Jewish athlete's athletic jersey. But it's actually happening here next Friday. Alyssa Barron, who's daughter of David and Karen Barron, longtime Beth Am members. She was a star at the Beth Am Basketball League. She was a star at Penn, and now she's a star playing for the state of Israel in international competitions, and also as a professional basketball player in Israel. So she will be the first jersey that we have ever retired in the history of Beth Am basketball, and it will be raised up into our rafters next Friday after services. So I encourage you all to come out. And lastly, as we know, it's Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start to summer. This is the time of year where Temple Beth Am transitions from being one of the largest Reformed congregations in the nation to being a neighborhood shul in Pinecrest as people flock to cooler climates. It's normally a time to unplug and to forget about all the troubles in the world and then come back here in the fall renewed and re-energized. But this year, I don't believe we have that luxury from the anti-Semitic protests that are interrupting college graduations across our country, to Norway, Ireland, and Spain recognizing a Palestinian state this week, and to this morning's decision from the United Nations horribly misnamed International Court of Justice ordering Israel not to defend its existence. Sadly, this is not a summer for us to just unplug and not pay attention to what's going on around us. I encourage all of our members to stay in tune, stay in touch this summer with what's going on in the Jewish world, and work with us, because we will be here and we will continue to support the Jewish people, both near and far, because as David Ben-Gurion stated so accurately almost 70 years ago, our future does not depend on what the Gentiles will say, but it depends on what the Jews will do. With that, I wish you a happy Memorial Day and Shabbat Shalom.
Is it Wednesday? Tuesday. So, as you can tell from the order of service, it's even as we wrap up the year, there's still a lot coming up, including confirmation and, as Rich said, Alyssa Barron's jersey retiring ceremony, which is going to be a lot of fun. So here's what's going to happen: we have confirmation service next week, which means the service will already be about 7 hours long. But during that service, we're going to invite Alyssa up, and she's going to have a chance to say a few words. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Alyssa made international headlines representing Israel in the European Championships when the team was playing against the team from Ireland. Turns out Ireland is not huge fans of Israel. And the Irish team refused to shake the hands with the Israeli players. The Israeli players handled it with tremendous dignity and class. It made international headlines. And then the Israelis defeated the Irish team by about 30 or so points. Not much luck of the Irish there. But so Alyssa will be here to talk about, what it means to represent Israel and to put on the jersey of Israel. Now, she had a lot of jerseys. She played Bethon basketball, and she won the championship every year she played in the boys' league. She had the Gulliver jersey where she's in the Hall of Fame. It was just announced that the University of Pennsylvania is inducting her into the Hall of Fame. And she has a professional team jersey from the different pro teams she's played in Israel. But we're going to be retiring her Israel national team jersey, which says Baron in Hebrew on the back, and it'll be put up. It's not going to go all the way to the rafters. Our rafters pretty high. But it's going to be on the wall, and it should be very cool. I also want to point out that we are one of the locations in the country that is premiering Sheryl Sandberg's movie about October 7th, Screams Before Silence, which will be this Tuesday at 7:30, followed by a panel. Rabbi Aklepi will be on the panel. So this is going to be a groundbreaking movie that everybody needs to see. So if you're available to join us, that's this Tuesday at 7:30. And also, if by June 14th you're not in Aspen, the Berkshires, or North Carolina, with the rest of our congregation, we have a fabulous concert sponsored by Alan Fine and his family with our artist in residence, Alana Arian, who's been here before, and she's spectacular. And we'll help you. All the information is there. So there's an awful lot going on. We're going to conclude now as we prepare for Memorial Day with our national anthem. Please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, thy own first healing air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We invite you to turn to your neighbor and wish them Shabbat Shalom.